In this tutorial video I'm going to show you how easy you can install BellaDati on the GlassFish server. The first thing before you proceed with the installation is checking the Java version. As you can see, I have the Oracle Java version 7. Then you can proceed to the GlassFish download page and download the GlassFish. We are recommending to use the Java web profile. You can just take the link and paste it and download it directly on the server, like I'm doing now. So once the download is finished, you can unzip the GlassFish and edit the configuration file. There are just two parameters you have to change. The first one is the default domain spot. The good practice is to store the GlassFish domain on a separate partition, and you can also specify the Java you are going to use, because by default it will take the Java from the path settings. So when it is finished, you can start the server. The first step is to create the domain. You can name it, for example, as a BellaDati test, using no password. And as you can see, the default configuration for the domain are the ports 8080 and 8181 for the HTTPS. So once you have the domain created, you can start this domain directly from the command line, typing sadmin start domain and the name of the domain. Then you can just go to the web browser and open the localhost 4848, and you will get into the administration console. The first thing you need to do once you are inside the administration console is to change the Java virtual machine parameters. You can find these parameters under the server config and JVM settings in the JVM options tab. There are just a couple of parameters: max perm size according to your memory settings, at least 512, then change to the server, and the maximum heap size 16 gigs. As I mentioned, this is according to your current system configuration. You can as well define the starting amount of the memory, so this amount will be reserved after the server starts. The second option worth to mention is the listener, HTTP listener configuration. You can change the port here. You can use as well the HTTPS, for example, change it to 8443, and you can provide as well the server name. This is required especially if you are running this behind some kind of proxy. The last thing we have to check is whether the WebSockets are enabled, so you can navigate to network config, protocols, HTTP listener, and check the WebSocket support is enabled, because BellaDati is using this technology. So the next step is to define the connection to the database. The one thing which is missing here is the JDBC driver, because by default the GlassFish is not coming with all drivers, so you have to download it. You can go to the JDBC postgres.org page and download the most recent JDBC4 Postgres driver. So again, you can just open the right directory on your server. It's a domain directory lib/ext, and you can download it directly there. Then you have to restart the server, so you can stop it because there is no restart option, and start it again as I did right now. So once it is started, you can return back to the web browser, to the administration console, and create the JDBC pool again. Here we are supposing that the database is already installed according to documentation. It means you have the database name, you have the user and password. So, but let's start with the first step. First step is choosing the right resource type and providing the pool name. Resource type will be the connection pool data source. Database vendor is Postgres. On the next page, you can see the class name is according to the Postgres database. Here we need just the first 5 parameters, the other ones can be deleted. So the user, you have the database name, application name, password, the server name, database is actually running. So once you are ready, you can change the maximum pool size. Our recommendation is to have at least 100 connections. And now we can do the ping to verify the database is accessible. And as you can see, we are successful to connect. Then you can define the connection validation in case you are starting the database or whatever. So you can use the validation method table and you can query the PG tables. Then the next step is defining the JDBC resource. It always starts with the JDBC, then slash, and the name of the application. In our case, it will be BellaDati_DB. The right pool name is BellaDati_PGSQL. So this is everything we need to configure on the GlassFish level. Now we need to deploy the application itself. Where to get the application? You can get the web application from our webpage, www.belladati.com. It's under the resources and download. In this case, we need the WebArchive distribution, so you can just download it. So once you have the file downloaded, you have to extract the configuration file and change the database related parameters. So you can use the unzip utility for doing this. The application configuration is stored in the webinf classes conf/application.properties. You can use the VI editor. For example, the first thing you need to change the application URL. It should reflect the reality. For example, now we are running the secure mode and production mode false. The real address is service-belladati.com, service-test.belladati.com, and then there are parameters related to the database. By default, BellaDati is connecting directly, but when we are using the GlassFish, we are going to use the JDBC resource which we have defined already, and this JDBC resource name should correspond to the JDBC resource name we have defined in the GlassFish. So once we are ready with this, save the file, update the zip archive, and we are ready to deploy. Deploying is very easy process. You just need to go to the administration console, hit the deploy button, and select the location of the file on the server. So it is a web application. The context root can be just slash. If we are fine with the settings, just hit the OK. So when it takes some time, you can as well open the log files to check whether everything is working fine. But after 30 seconds, you will be able to open the application. So as you can see in the log files, the application is starting, and after, as I mentioned, some time it will be up and running. So then you just need to go to the web browser and open the address, and you will be redirected to the setup guide. So, and that's it.